Hello, this is What You Missed, July 13th through 19th. I'm Ryan Wingfield, but my anime name is One Punchline Man. This week, someone nearly killed Donald Trump, yet it was still one of the best weeks of his life. Before we get into any of that, I do want to address the attempted assassination. My condolences go out to the victims who were hurt and killed for only trying to support a political candidate. It should go as without saying, but it is certainly worth saying that violence of any form toward any political candidate should be condemned by all decent humans, including the former president. For his part, Donald Trump has been, dare I say, presidential in the aftermath of the shooting, speaking respectfully of the victims and his security, and wisely using the incident to his political advantage. Let's run down his historic week. Saturday. Trump is grazed by a bullet and swarmed offstage by Secret Service agents in an iconic image that will be remembered in history books, and, as he hopes, overshadows the parts of the history books that talk about the January 6th insurrection. Monday, a Florida judge who was appointed by Trump dismisses the classified documents case against him on a flimsy legal technicality. The case is believed to be the strongest criminal case against Trump, but unfortunately it happened in Florida, where the law doesn't matter. Trump then uses the ruling to argue all of his legal cases should be dismissed. Also Monday, Trump announces J.D. Vance as his vice presidential nominee. Vance is a former Never-Trumper who once compared Trump to Hitler. Since then, he has fully embraced the MAGA movement. He is otherwise notable as one of the few VP candidates to have a beard, but it makes sense since his primary role is that of lapdog. Tuesday, in a further example of making his enemies heel, Trump's major Republican political rival spoke at the Republican convention to pledge him their support, while new polls suggest the assassination attempt has given Trump a commanding lead. Wednesday, as Trump soars, his rival plummets. President Biden faces new calls to step down from top Democrats such as Chuck Schumacher and Nancy Pelosi, who apparently all told him remotely because that's the same day that the 81-year-old Biden was diagnosed with COVID for the third time. Biden is basically dodging his own assassination attempt, but from Father Time. Finally, Thursday, Trump accepts the Republican nomination in the longest convention speech in history. In his defense, Trump had to make up for his last speech, which was cut short. Of course, there was other political news this week. U.S. Senator Bob Menendez has been found guilty of 16 charges of bribery and corruption and has promised to step down from the Senate. The evidence in his case was overwhelming, but unfortunately he was only a senator and not a president, so he will have to face consequences. In England, King Charles opened a new session of Parliament following the country's election 2 weeks ago. It was a boring speech full of tedious topics that the new government wants to address, but it did give the king another opportunity to put on his fancy clothes. The mayor of Paris swam in the Seine this week to prove that the river is clean enough for the upcoming Olympics. The city has spent over €1 billion to remove sewage from the river, but E. coli levels remain high. So good news, Bob Costas. This Olympics, you won't be the only one with pink eye. Speaking of the Olympics, the captain of Japan's artistic gymnastics team has been kicked off the team for violating the team's code of conduct by smoking. But in my opinion, if you can win an Olympic medal as a smoker, then you have earned it. In football news, Spain defeated England in the final match of the Euros on Sunday. The winning goal was scored in the final minutes of the game, followed by several near-miss goal attempts by England. It was such an exciting game that Americans almost thought about caring about it for a second. A drug bust in Paraguay found nearly $250 million of cocaine hidden in a shipment of sugar. Officials became suspicious when they noticed kids snorting pixie sticks. Scientists have discovered a 100-meter deep cave on the moon that they say could be an ideal spot to build the first permanent human base. Scientists say the cave might have been formed billions of years ago by lava flows on the moon's surface. That, or deadly underground moon worms who will attack the first astronauts to explore it. Note to self, pitch Moon Tremors sequel to Hollywood. Also in space news, scientists have unveiled a prototype spacesuit undergarment that can collect urine and turn it into drinkable water. The hope is that it will eventually replace the adult diapers currently used by astronauts and American presidents. Bud Light sales are continuing to plummet. Up until a year ago, the beer was the most popular one in the United States, but recently slid to the third most popular as conservatives continue to test it for a woke agenda. Ironically, most people who use the product are much more likely to report blackouts. Costco is selling emergency food kits that they call the Apocalypse Buckets, yet another company that expects Donald Trump to win the election in November. I'll see you next week.